My son has spent years behaving inappropriately toward women, and my husband kept brushing it off, until our housekeeper finally lost her patience and slapped him. Later, when a girl showed interest in him and wanted to go out with him, I told her the truth about his behavior. Now my husband claims I've destroyed our son's future. I 40F have 2 children. My daughter Liz 12 and my son Toby 19. For years my son has behaved inappropriately toward women, and my husband 54M has always defended him, excused him, and even fed into it, until the day our housekeeper finally slapped him across the face. Now a sweet girl asked if she could date him. I warned her that he's dangerous, and my husband accuses me of destroying our son's future. Let me be brutally honest. Toby has turned into someone I'm ashamed to call my son. Because he's the golden boy, my husband spoiled him endlessly and actively encouraged his worst impulses, giving him access to adult films and his old collection of pornographic magazines as soon as he hit his teens. Whenever I protested, my husband brushed it off with "boys will be boys." This was particularly bad with Asian women. We used to employ a young Asian cleaner. We're comfortably wealthy, and Toby would constantly harass her, make disgusting comments, and follow her around the house. One day he tried to flip her skirt up and she slapped him hard. My husband wanted to call the police on her. I told him if he dared, I would divorce him on the spot and make sure the entire town knew exactly what kind of predator he was raising. I gave the housekeeper a huge bonus, wrote her a glowing reference, and immediately replaced her with an older male cleaner. Toby sulked and barely left his room for 3 months. A lot of people will ask why I only threatened divorce instead of following through. I stayed for Liz. I didn't want to rip her world apart while she was still in school. Since she was tiny, I've been putting aside whatever cash was left from grocery shopping into a hidden account. My original plan was to leave the day she started college, but recent events have forced me to speed things up. I've also come to realize I was groomed myself not long after we married, and this fetishization of exotic women seems to run in the family. My husband is white, I'm Latina. Most of the neighborhood knows my backstory, so I have a network of friends who quietly keep tabs on Toby when he's out and about. He hates it, but it keeps him from acting on his impulses in public. Recently, our neighbor's former exchange student came back to visit. I'll call her Kimmy. She's an absolute ray of sunshine, always smiling, waving at everyone. One afternoon, she spotted Toby coming home and waved. Within days, they were chatting on the neighbor's porch for hours. We even invited her over for tea a few times. Liz is obsessed with her. They bond over anime fashion and Korean comics. 2 days ago, we were all having tea together when Kimmy, out of nowhere, politely asked if she could date Toby. The neighbor's wife and I went completely still. I set my cup down and told her, as gently but firmly as I could, that Toby does not treat women with respect, and that he has a history of seeing Asian women as objects. I told her about the housekeeper incident and warned her that the sweet version she was seeing right now might not last. I explained that my husband had done the same to me, love-bombed me until the mask came off. The neighbor's wife added that I had fought for years to correct Toby, but some patterns are too deeply ingrained. I ended by saying that if she still chose to date him, the entire street, including me, would have her back if he ever crossed a line. Kimmy nodded quietly and left soon after. Since then, she has completely ignored Toby. This morning, she came to pick Liz up for a shopping day, said a quick goodbye to me, and pretended Toby wasn't even there. As the door closed, I heard him mutter a racist slur under his breath. I'd had it. I snapped, and that right there is exactly why I warned her. He looked crushed. I told him straight. I tried for years to raise him to be a decent man, but he and his father chose to act like creeps instead. If he wants to blame someone, blame the man who enabled him. He stormed to his room. An hour later, my husband texted me furious, asking why I was sabotaging our son. I replied that I was done watching him treat women like meat, and that if he had been a real father, this wouldn't have happened. Now both of them are raging at me. Toby hasn't come out of his room, and I asked the neighbor, a very large, very protective man, to come over before my husband gets home, because I'm terrified of the fight that's coming. I'm shaking as I type this. I feel sick. I may have just blown up my marriage, all because I protected a kind girl from my own son. AITA for warning her and possibly ending my marriage in the process. Top comments op replied to comment 1, the whole neighborhood will destroy him if he lays a finger on you. You're doing the right thing. Op, thank you, that means more than you know. Comment 2, does Liz know how bad her brother is? Op, yes, she never has friends over because she's scared of him. He gives them the creeps, he just stares. Comment 3. Are you sure he hasn't tried anything with Liz or cousins? Op, my family lives abroad and visits are rare. Liz says he's never touched her or her friends, but the vibe is bad enough that no one wants to be near him. He was expelled from 2 schools before 16 for inappropriate touching of students and staff. Both cases were settled out of court after expulsion. Update 1. I'm filing for divorce. I took Liz and flew to my home country for a week of girls' trip with her cousins while I had virtual consultations with attorneys. They're preparing the paperwork and suggested I look into restraining orders against both my husband and Toby given the history. Leaving Toby hurts like hell, but my priority is keeping Liz safe. If he stays with his father, he will never get better. And the lawyers say I'll almost certainly get full custody of Liz as long as I separate her from that environment. Update 2. I'm back in the country. I never planned to keep Liz away permanently. I just needed space and legal advice. Friends in the neighborhood immediately offered us a place to stay. We're now living with a lovely woman whose house is even closer to Liz's school. I served my husband the papers and we moved out the same day. 2 days later, Toby was caught hanging around Liz's school having a full meltdown, screaming, crying, trespassing. Police detained him. He was taken for a psych evaluation and placed on a 72-hour hold. His father never visited or even called the hospital. He was diagnosed with mixed personality disorders, narcissistic and histrionic features. When I was finally allowed to see him, he sobbed in my arms like a little boy and kept saying he doesn't understand why he is the way he is. It broke my heart. I sat in on his next therapy session. He apologized. I told him the apology is years late, but I'm glad he finally wants help. We're keeping contact limited for now, voice messages and occasional video calls. I'm working with the doctors to find a proper residential program because going back to his father would undo everything. I'm helping him enroll in online college classes, so he has structure and purpose. There's a tiny spark of hope. Update 3. Final. It's been several months and this will probably be my last post. I got a part-time job. Saving for our own place is slow but steady. The friend we're staying with refuses rent. I cook and clean as thanks. Liz is doing well. I'm looking for a therapist for her before the divorce is finalized. Toby is in a therapeutic residential facility with other young men his age. He has his own room, group activities, twice-weekly therapy, and a counselor on call. We moved to weekly video calls. He's actually making friends and is excited for spring semester classes. Progress isn't straight, but it's real. My soon-to-be ex realized he had no case. Between the mountain of evidence, character witnesses, and Toby's situation, he chose to voluntarily terminate parental rights to Liz, still has to pay child support and can request supervised visits, though he almost never shows up. Assets will likely be 50-50, but I only want my personal belongings and family heirlooms. Everything else he can keep. Kimmy apparently lurks here, recognized the story, and sent me the sweetest card through the neighbor. Kimmy, if you see this, thank you, you made me cry happy tears. I still wake up some nights with dread in my stomach, but overall life is calmer, safer, and filled with people who actually love us. Therapy for me starts as soon as the divorce is signed. Thank you all, truly, for giving me the courage to leave and the perspective to not give up on my son completely. Comments. Op replied to in final update. Comment 1. Terminating parental rights doesn't usually erase child support. Something feels off. Op. We're in Europe, not the US. Rules are different and it will all be clarified at the December hearing. Comment 2. Sending you and your kids so much peace. Op. Thank you.